Hey Forrest, how you doing?
What's going on, man? How are you doing?
Good. I know we talk quite frequently, but it's always good to see you on Zoom. It's been a minute since I got to
Yeah.
see your face. So how's it? How
Dude,
you
of
doing?
course. Good, man. How's Charleston?
I absolutely love it here. There's a
Yeah.
really growing film community. I set up this networking event this Friday. Hopefully, we can
Yeah.
start getting people together every few weeks or on a monthly basis. And there's a lot of really strong talent here. I just think there needs to be more of a connective tissue, like a network to get people to know each other and
Right.
know each other's strengths and work with each other. So I'm looking forward to meeting everybody, you know?
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I've since I moved to Charlotte in December of 2022, I have been to a couple networking events here, and it's so exciting to like sort of dive in and meet the people who have like similar interests as you and stuff. Because the film community is just so like it feels niche, especially in cities like ours where they're kind of, you know, not as prominent obviously as like Atlanta, LA, New York, that kind of stuff. So we try to do what we can to like, make them more well known and like bring projects to us and invite people, try to entice people to get down here and make projects happen. So, but it's been cool. I'm glad I saw the networking event you created and posted and stuff like that. I wish I could come, honestly. But it's gonna be so cool. I can't wait to hear about it, honestly.
Yeah. For those listening, Charlotte, North Carolina is a great spot for a lot of commercial corporate work. How have you found kind of being there and meeting commercial work there, you know?
Yeah, just in Charlotte in general.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, for me, like I, sort of felt a little bit stuck in the Greensboro, Winston, High Point area of North Carolina, the Triad as we call it, and like I pretty much grew up there my whole life, and I finally took a step away from that because even my school, School of the Arts, it was in Winston Salem, and like I wanted to, I wanted to finally leave, and even though I'm still in North Carolina, Charlotte's been such a like a breath of fresh air for me, and I think like sort of only recently I've been I've been able to like dig deeper into the Charlotte film community. Um, I haven't since I moved. You and I worked together, obviously, and I sort of felt like I had job security and all of that, and so I didn't really take the time I needed to find out who's here and like who are the like freelance crew members around here. What are they doing? What kind of commercials are happening? Or indie films, projects like that too. And only now I'm starting, now that I've sort of really taken on freelancing as a whole as my own now, I've been able to finally connect with the right people. And I feel like in the past week, I have finally been able to get in touch and sort of go out of my way to like have coffee with somebody, or I've got a few lunches scheduled for this week and next week. Like I'm trying to meet and network as much as I can, and this is the first real time I'm actually doing that, to be honest. Like, I felt very comfortable at my previous like full-time jobs, and now it's like, okay, in order to be freelance, I kind of have to actually buckle down, do my homework, and go out of my way to meet people. And so I can't really answer your question about how the Charlotte film world is because I haven't gotten there quite yet. It's still fresh, and I only feel like it's going to get better the longer I stay here. So
Yeah, I mean, those things take time, and that's what I'm realizing, being here. I have to really take a step back sometimes and realize haven't even been here a full year, but I've already done so
Right.
many amazing things, and it's only gonna, snowball, and word's gonna get out, word of mouth, for
Yeah.
years to come. So, no,
100% agree.
that's cool though. I know what you mean though. It's very scary stepping out on your own, doing the whole freelance thing, especially at first. But I think definitely a guy with your talents, you won't have a problem making that work for yourself. It's
I
probably gonna
appreciate
be
it.
it's probably gonna be better for you too. I mean, with what we do, kind of really focusing on the creativity side of it, it's better than being stuck somewhere where you're being told what to do creatively, you know?
Oh, 100%, dude. I do feel this like weight lifted off my shoulders in a way. Like I've been at a few jobs where I don't feel like my value is actually being properly assessed, and I feel like a lot of that. I know what I'm worth. You know what you're worth. Even I know what you're worth. You're incredible. So like being
Thank you.
able to finally open up our wings a little bit and hit the ground running and meet the right people and get connected is just, it's so fulfilling, and it will pay off at some point too. Like, I've been thinking about this. We can get into this too a little later, but I've been thinking like long term as well, because I've had the time to reflect on, well, what does my future look like, that kind of stuff. And Charlotte, I don't think is the end game for me. To me, it's just another stepping stone, but I really, really love it here. I'm very comfortable, and to me, my social, like, and mental health come first before work. Like, I want to be happy where I live before I'm, you can find work anywhere if you look hard enough. That's kind of what I'm of the belief of. And so, like, I'm really happy in Charlotte. Will I stay here forever? Probably not. But I think it's a good home base for me, which I think is important for us freelance film people, is to have somewhere, or not even just a city, but a state maybe too, like somewhere where you can feel comfortable coming back to if you were to go out for a couple years or a few months working on like a feature film or a show that takes a lot of time, and you were to move somewhere for that project, you can always come back. And I feel like for me, Charlotte might be that place, at least on the East Coast. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm feeling right now.
So talk a little bit about like what specifically you do in terms of, film and commercial and all that.
Yeah. So obviously you and I graduated from UNC School of the Arts, and while there, I came in wanting to be writer-director, as a lot of probably film students do. And, I really was interested in creating my own ideas, watching them come to life. But then through those 4 years at school, I started, that school's meant to sort of tailor your needs and give you all the options to pick from, and then you find out what you like and discover yourself, that kind of thing. And I do think I had that experience there. And so while I was there, I discovered, okay, maybe the producing school is right for me, because I'm a planner at heart. I love the scheduling and organizing. That's just sort of how my mind works. And I was like, oh, there's a job for that in film. Like I didn't really put that together. I thought it was all creative. And so finally got into the producing discipline or program at that school. Spent 2 years doing that. And through that, I even found more of a niche job that was sort of my calling. I think assistant directing is what I really love the most. And specifically, first AD is my favorite position on set. And I've been grateful to I'm grateful to say I've been able to do that for a lot of commercials over the past 2 years. And I am currently working on a feature film right now in early stages pre-production, aiming to shoot this fall of 2023. And like, I do feel this like rush of excitement when I'm in that position, because like there's definitely a lot of authority there to some extent, but you're in charge of the things that a lot of people don't want to do. So like, especially in a narrative project like a short film or a feature, it's like when you're telling a story, the director, the writer, the producers, all of them want to have creative input. I sort of don't want to have too much of that. I sort of like handling the logistics and making it happen and seeing the smiles on everybody's faces when they realize we couldn't have done this without me. Like I like being depended on in that way, So there's that. And I also, with that comes production management, UPM, production coordinator type roles as well. That's something I would like to do more of too. A lot of projects need that heavy lifting on the pre-production end, because without that, the production's gonna crumble, right? So I feel some sort of responsibility on my part to bring my skill set to teams that really need it. And so I just want to, I love the organization stuff, man. That's my thing. So yeah, those are typically the roles: AD, team, coordinating, management stuff. That's my thing.
How do you think, growing up, like the things that you were doing, the things you were influenced by, kind of like shaped that way of thinking and how your kind of brain works with your creativity? Like where do you think that kind of came from?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know, man. Like, I think some of the art that I've seen it recently too, I've been exposed to so much new content, movies and shows and all of that. And like, lots of people have their favorite films that, they always say that was the jumping point. And I do feel like I have that. I would say 127 Hours right there. I've got a poster behind me for those listening. Favorite film of all time. Watched it when I was in 7th grade in middle school. It changed my life because it was the film that like motivated me and made me aware of how powerful films can actually be. You can sit there for 90 minutes and have a revolutionary inner change inside of you. Like, it's kind of crazy how a film can do something like that. It, like, emotionally affect you in less than 2 hours. Your life has changed. So I feel, to answer your actual question, I think that film, as well as many others, just inspired me in a way to be like, I want to be involved in creating something that emotionally affects other people, like some films have done for me. And like, just recently I've just finished watching Avatar: The Last Airbender for the first time.
There you go.
As you and I talked about that, we don't have to go too deep into it, but that finale is one of the greatest finales I've ever watched in my whole life, and I can't believe it took me this long to actually watch that show. But
I would
that's
not
a great
disagree.
example. Oh, dude, like, it brought me to tears multiple times. Just Sozin's Comet, all 4 parts together in like one 90-minute climax. Are you kidding? Like, dude,
perfect.
It's perfect.
Ahead of its time, to be honest. It
really
dude, was.
Way ahead. I loved it so much that I watched it again the next day, the whole thing. The whole finale. And that I've just been chasing that feeling. Like, I want to see and make art that, even though I'm not necessarily in the creative, like, quote unquote creative team of a project necessarily, I still think I have a need to be involved in a project that can provide that feeling for other people. Whether it's like a actually emotional, cry movie or show, it's not necessarily that. But if it makes any emotional impact on even like a couple people, that just would mean a lot,
Sure. You just want to keep that going, keep that energy out there, just as long as you're a part of, in any way, big or small, just making sure that it keeps happening for somebody else that may be watching their 127 hours in 7th grade,
Yeah, dude. It's an endless cycle for me. Like, the film industry's always been that way, art in general. Music has also done the same thing. You can go back and listen to music from any generation, and you can be impacted by it if you discover it and it like calls to you. Then that's what you like. People like what they like. I just think I want to be a part of that generation for, like, even when I'm long and dead, I want people in the future to look back on film history, and I want to be a part of that as much as I can before time is up. It's like I want to like make my stake in the industry.
Sure. I think for me, the movie that did that was probably Chronicle, with Dane DeHaan.
That's a great one. Underrated movie.
Very underrated. And I think something about the kind of really grounded, high school grittiness, but with also, like, it had everything in it. It had all the perfect elements. It had the little bit of superhero stuff without like being full blown like cape and costume. Like, it just was like about kids like discovering it, and something about that, like, emotionally at the time spoke to me, about his kind of like tragic arc throughout the film. Spoiler alert, but it's been out forever. You should have already seen it a million times. And a big defining moment, big moment for me was when I actually got to meet him, because he obviously, as you know, he's an alumni of, he's an alumni of the school, and when he came back, oh my God, I did exactly the opposite of what they tell you to do. You know, you're supposed to act.
Did you fanboy a little?
Yeah, you have to treat them like normal people, and it's not that I fanboyed. I almost just like, I was seeing somebody at the school that I finally made it doing something that was completely inspired by the project that he made, you know? And so I kind of just like
he came from this place and you are too, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, and now I'm actually like seeing him in person, and it just kind of all was like a crazy like moment that imploded, and I just did not know how to speak words. I was just like fumbling over myself, but I was just like, but I did it a little bit. I was just like, man, like your Project Chronicle just like is the number one reason why like I'm even at this school, and I just and it's great to meet you. And then he what's so funny is what he said next kind of like brought me back down, and he goes, oh, and like, and what's your name? And like shook my hand, and like he was like almost like bringing me back down. He's just like,
funny.
You know, it's like I didn't even tell him my name.
You're just like, oh, I didn't even introduce myself.
I just exploded.
You're so caught up in the moment.
But no, he was very nice though.
That's awesome.
And anyway, yeah, that project is absolutely amazing, and if you haven't seen it yet, I definitely recommend it to anybody who's listening.
I'm a huge found footage fan, specifically found footage horror, but that one is an interesting one because it has its like kind of freaky moments, I would say, but it's very different because it's not found footage horror, because that's its own subgenre now, but which I love a lot. But it's an interesting one, dude. I want to check it out again. I remember going to the theaters to see that with like a couple buddies of mine in high school or whatever, and I really loved it, and I want to see it again. It's been a long time.
There were rumors of them writing a sequel that was more, I think it was more of a female-led film, but I don't know if that ever came to be anything. I remember that
circulating a long time ago. I would love to see another one. Because
you can't really do this, like, branch off of that story. That story pretty much concluded.
It's kind of its own, yeah.
Yeah. So in a way, I would be almost disappointed with the sequel, because I feel like if it's not directly connected, then why make one with the title Chronicle 2?
I get it, yeah.
But anyway, I think that really shaped me and kind of mine, just like you with 127 hours.
Yeah. So, dude, I literally have got a tattoo of it right there. Like
that's awesome.
Yeah. It's oh God, it's literally the best. It's the best movie I've ever seen in my life.
It was meaningful, right? And I mean, oh my gosh, how crazy is that scene where he has to rip his nerve, like,
bro, yeah.
I couldn't even watch.
It's tough, man. Like, so a little dream of mine, like not really film related, but because of that movie, I really want to meet Aaron Ralston. Like, he's such an inspiration. His story in general, like after I saw the movie, I was like, wow, this is real. Like, this shit actually happened at some point. And it's a dream of mine to meet him in person one day, because he does a lot of like circuits and press junkets and stuff too, and speaks and like motivational speaker, that kind of stuff. I would love to attend something one day and meet him or something like that. But yeah, that movie has shaped me for sure. Like, it's just that project that always comes back to you as your number one favorite, or because it's impacted you in such a strong way. It's crazy that art can do that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you'll make a film with him one day. You never know. Just offer to do a documentary.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's plenty of like small documentary stuff that he's done, or behind the scenes kind of stuff. You better believe I've gone and dug through as much as I could. But read his book as well. I have like 3 different copies of it. I love it, dude.
That's awesome. I mean, it's inspiring. I mean, the fact that he just went back out and kept climbing. So.
I know. Wow. Can't believe that.
So kind of bouncing off of that, where do you see yourself kind of going with what you want to do? I know you mentioned you were thinking about it. Like if you had the perfect kind of like career goal in the next 5-10 years, like where do you want to be, you know?
Oh, dude, I love that question. I think that's something I've been mulling over a lot, even before I moved to Charlotte, because, you know, when I was still sort of stuck in the triad of North Carolina, I was like, what do I do, and how do I get there? It's like, I know I want to AD, but like, where should I go? Obviously, LA is a big, but that just to me was too big of a jump at the time. And I was like, okay, well, let's reel it back in and see how I can take stepping stones towards that and maybe get to LA one day. And so, you know, recently as well, with my like lots of freelance freedom I've had, I've really sort of been more open-minded about that stuff. And, you know, I cold called a bunch of School of the Arts people that I really haven't talked to in a while, which I sort of regret. And now I've sort of been reconnecting and, you know, formulating those relationships again and stuff. And, you know, obviously ADing is my passion, and I think the first step to get there would be maybe getting into the DGA. Directors Guild of America is something I've researched in really heavily and have looked into a lot. And every single thing that I found through their websites and their training programs and stuff is just gotten me so excited. Because, like, you have to do, obviously, a whole lot of work. Like, first of all, you have to get accepted, and either the LA or New York training program, which is 2 years. And once you graduate, you're invited into the DGA as a second or a second AD, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in. You are in. And through those 2 years, of course, you would be placed directly into an AD team on literal like feature films and big budget shows that are happening right now. And so they literally drop you into the hurricane, like where things are literally happening. And that's what I think I need, because, you know, the commercial industry is nice, and I think there's a lot of great people to network with and friends that I've met and stuff too through that. But for me, where I want to end up is being an AD on something really important. Like, you know, I'm a big Marvel guy. It'd be great to do something like that, or even something more, you know, tailored to my like actual sort of interests, like, you know, a limited series or on HBO, or like something sort of high status or highbrow, but you know, really, as long as I'm working on projects with people that I've met and really get along with, and I'm just having fun while I'm doing it and not killing myself over film work, because that does happen. I think that's where I want to be. I think getting into the DGA is step one, and once I do that, I'll be where I want to be. And I think, you know, my hope is that I'll naturally organically find my way through the industry the way I'm supposed to do it. And, you know, everybody's got their own way of doing it. And I think just because I didn't move out to LA immediately the day after I graduated college, I think that's fine, you know. And I am more open to maybe going out to LA at some point. I'm planning on taking a week-long trip out there this year to just visit people and go there, because I've never even been. Been over there to the West Coast. Furthest west I've been was like Vegas. I was in Vegas like 2 times.
That's pretty close. You're getting there.
It's okay. Yeah, it's not too far off. But long story short, I want to hop on the DGA train if possible and work my way possibly to LA. I think moving further west would be really cool, just to explore that area and see what's out there. I know there's so much happening in LA. Would I be happy living there? I don't know. That's why I'm sort of going to explore it this year, see what I like about it.
Yeah, I feel like at film school, you know, the kind of expectation is, all right, you graduated yesterday. Are you in New York or are you in LA? And nobody really talks about the other options, because your film school experience can translate to the corporate world, to marketing, to content creation on any real form. And I mean, there are a lot of good jobs, well-paying jobs, that give a lot of foundation that you can find out there if that's what you want to do. I've found a surprising amount of content in doing gigs like that, because like you said, I have fun on set, I meet really cool people, and that's what really matters over. I mean, I don't care if I ever work on something that somebody would remember me for. At this point, you kind of learn that it's more about being happy in the stuff that you are able to do, and not stressing about having a. I've talked with a few people about this on this show, but about like just not worrying about having a career behind you already at 25, like there's so much time, so many more things that you can do.
You don't need to have a legacy already at our age. Like, it just doesn't happen. You can't do that. Like, I agree. I think the expectations of like post film school and also just the industry in general, like, why aren't you out here doing this with us or whatever? It's like, well, I just want to sort of take things at my own pace. Like, that's sort of what I found to be most comfortable for me. Like I said, I didn't want to jump the shark too soon and jump over to LA or New York because I might be miserable. And obviously a lot of people, you stick it out long enough, it'll finally pay off. And sure, I think that works for a bunch of people, but I sort of want to learn everything I can at the ground floor, sort of. Mm-hmm. Meet people who I've met so many people, yourself included, like through this medium and this type of work, and I want to sort of have a strong foundation for my skills and really hone in on what I can offer people, so then when I do make maybe the next big step, possibly LA or whatever, I have something to show for it and provide and say, hey, I put so many years or so much time and I've met so and so and I've done this. Here's my portfolio, here are my skills. I know I can make your project, I can provide you a service and it will really benefit your show or something like that. So for me, I'm happy doing what I'm doing right now too. And I think, for hopefully an inspiration for other people, whoever's watching or listening to this, I think do things at your own pace and don't really worry too much about expectations of other people. You're just going to put pressure on yourself and you're going to sort of feel like you haven't made it or something like that. And I just don't feel like that's a healthy mindset for freelance film crew people. And yeah, I would say wherever you are living, try to make the most of it. But obviously, I don't think there's necessarily a film like community in every single place, but there's like major hubs or where people are trying to make it happen. And I think that's all you need. You just need the drive. Really. Yeah. That's about it.
Yeah. I mean, no matter what you do, even if it's video related, I mean, all those skills can translate to each other. It's almost a similar but different language that, I mean, even between the commercial and the narrative world that they speak. I mean, there's very different terms for like the same thing, even in just those two fields that you would assume are completely the same, and they're not. So I think no matter what you do, as long as you're happy doing it, is what matters.
Yeah, I agree.
But
and that may sound a little cliche, but I couldn't agree more. Like, seriously, because again, like I said earlier, I want to be happy first. Like where I'm living, I want to be comfortable. Like I can come home and be happy at my home and like feel comfortable there. And I want to be surrounded by people that appreciate me and like that I feel comfortable being around as well. Like if my social and mental health is all check marked, then I'm good to go. Like, I'll work wherever I need to, whatever I need to do. And it's just going to be interesting to see where both of us kind of end up too. Like, everybody asks, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years kind of thing? I don't know. I have no clue.
And that's totally fine. And that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Just figure it out one day at a time.
Things change on a dime in the film industry. Like, you might get a call or an email one day that literally just sets you on your way, and I mean, the rest is history. Like, you can never pin down what your path is going to be in the film world. Like, it's just so convoluted and so crazy sometimes, where you just sort of have to go with the flow and make the most out of your time, and make sure you are ready for those things. Like, I can't remember if you and I were talking about this a few weeks ago or what, but I remember having this conversation with at least somebody that said, like, we were discussing sort of like the timing of things, and we were saying how, like, whether or not you have to do something noteworthy at a certain age or at a certain point in your career, it's really just about making sure you're ready for the call. Like, like you and I were already talking about this, where you want to, at least for me, I want to take the time to make sure my skill set is polished, so that when the time comes for the dream project that I want, I'm ready for it. I don't want to be like grinding for no reason. Like, that's kind of the whole reason I'm out here in Charlotte or wherever I'm going to be next year or whatever. It's like, I want to put my time in something where the stakes aren't as high. Like,
sure.
Any project's going to have its own demands, but to me, it's like, if you're working on lower scale to medium, even high budget commercials or something like that, you have chances to train yourself and get that experience. So when the time comes for that major project, you have that under your belt, and you can approach it from a position where you probably wouldn't have done if you got that call 2 years ago, and like, you didn't have all those experiences under your belt beforehand. So I think
that's amazing
taking the time
advice.
to polish your skill set first is the way I'm sort of going about it.
Yeah, that's amazing advice. I think that hopefully is some inspiration to people out there who are just getting started, and hopefully that gives you some sort of peace of mind not to worry too much right now, and just do what you can. But Forrest, thank you so much for doing this, and I love talking to you always.
Dude, of course.
I'll have to have you back on hopefully soon, when you're rocking it out with ADing a huge feature, the next
Dude,
Marvel
I
film.
hope so, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on, man. I'm happy to do it anytime. Just let me know.
All right. Well, everybody check out Forrest's stuff, and we'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.
All right, buddy. Thanks. I appreciate it.